part 2 of our knit along with the Cold Pale Moon Shawl by Helen Kennedy. If you don't have your pattern yet, you still have a few days to get it at a discount. Helen Kennedy, the designer, has offered us 25% off until Friday the 17th. So the code is down below, the link is down below. So if you haven't started yet, go grab that pattern at a discount and cast on with us. The cast on video is in the playlist, also linked down below. So again, I want to give a hearty thank you to all of my patrons. These are people that are supporting this channel and helping bring you videos each and every week. So for a small monthly pledge, they receive some perks. So head on over to patreon.com/Purl Together to see what I'm offering. All right, part 2 is going to be all about the Mosaic chart. Now, I did upload a video a couple days ago about reading Mosaic knitting charts in general, but today's video is about this pattern specifically. I'm ready to begin the chart section of our shawl, and I have knitted 121 stitches. I've done the increases on the main color section until I've gotten up to 120 because I want to have a larger shawl. Now, if I just came up with that number because there are 14 on the chart, there's 14 stitches between the red lines, and so I wanted to add 28 more stitches or 2 more chart repeats to what I'm doing. So now I'm going to add my contrasting color, my darker color, and to do that I'm just going to start knitting with it, and then I'll deal with my tail later, and I'll probably do a duplicate stitch and weave it in, but I'll show you how I'm going to go about that. So I'm just going to begin knitting, and I'm going to hang on to the tail in the back neck. I'm going to go in and knit these two together, but I'm also going to lift this up and over, and then I'm going to wrap my knit stitch and put this tail end back down. Now the reason I'm going to do that is because the next stitch that I knit is going to trap that tail, and you guys have seen me do this on other videos. I'm just going to do that a couple of times during this first section where I did the knit 1, knit 2 together, and then I'm just got 3 knit stitches. Then I have a long enough tail to do a duplicate stitch later on, and I'll show you what I'm planning later about when we do our finish work. So I'm just going to lift that up and over, wrap my knit stitch like normal, and put it back down so that it's now on top of what I'm pulling through. And then the next stitch, it's going to trap down this tail and just pin it down to my work. Okay, that's plenty. You don't want to pull this tail tight because you don't want any puckering on this end. As for this, I'm just going to pull that so it's even, and then we're going to carry this up the side later. Okay, so that's the first bit, the first knit 1, knit 2 together, and then knit 3. Now you'll see the 2 stitches that come up next are lighter and they have a V, and that just means you're just going to slip them purlwise and then carry on with your chart. Now if you're new to reading a Mosaic chart, I have uploaded a different video that's specifically just about that, so feel free to go check that out. But this is really all there is to it. You're slipping the 2 stitches that are not the color that you're holding. Okay, so when I get a little further into this, there's a couple of things I want to tell you about tension. You want to keep your stitches spaced out so that the floats, or the part you're carrying along the back, it doesn't cause puckering. And I'm going to show you a couple of techniques for that. On the wrong side rows, we're just knitting the first 3 stitches to keep our garter stitch edging in place. And then you're purling your way back across, purling the stitches that are the same color as the working yarn that you're holding. And then you're slipping the opposite color all the way back across. So you're just purling and slipping the ones that are not the same as the color that you're holding. Now just be mindful to keep your floats so that you're not puckering anything. Make sure that you maintain that spacing that you had before when you created the float below. Make sure you try to maintain that spacing so that you don't have any puckering happening, and those floats are not too loose and sloppy, but they're not going to cause you a tension problem later. Okay, there's just a couple more things I want to show you as I'm moving through this chart, and that is I try to keep the lighter color underneath the darker color as I'm carrying them up the sides. So now I'm moving to the darker color, and you can do that either way. I just try not to twist them on the edges, so you do what you think is best for that. The other thing I wanted to give you a couple of tips on is maintaining the tension throughout your Mosaic chart, because if you, like I mentioned earlier, if your floats are too short or too tight, then that's definitely going to affect how things block out, and you don't want to have things puckered or too tight in various places. So I'm going to show you how I manage that. Let me knit one more here. And then as I'm following my chart, what I need to do here is slip these next 3 lighter colored stitches. So I'm going to slip these 3 across. Now, as I take this across, it would be really easy to have this be too short and then to create a pucker here. So in order to be mindful of that, I'm going to try to space them out on this right hand needle as evenly as I can before I wrap my stitch. That's going to help ensure that the float across the back is the size that it needs to be. So whenever you're going to slip more than one, you would just want to put them all over there and then make sure that you space them so they're laying pretty evenly. Then I go in, only then do I go in and knit that next stitch and make sure that my float is the correct length. And then you want to try to do the same thing on when you come purling back on the wrong side. Also, that's one reason that the pattern suggests that you size up a needle for the Mosaic chart section. What I found on the wrong side is it's really easy to make my floats a little tighter than I should, especially when the wrong side, it can be kind of mindless where you're just slipping the alternate ones and purling the same color that you're holding, and you can kind of do that on autopilot. So if you're not careful, you might end up making this wrong side float too tight. So just be really mindful to still do your spacing and be careful about that. Okay, we're on our way through the chart. Show me a picture of your works in progress. I'd love to see how you're doing in the Facebook and Ravelry groups. If you found the video helpful, be sure to click that thumbs up button and subscribe. I'd love to have you also click the bell notification so that you'll be alerted whenever I upload something new. And head on over to patreon.com and consider becoming a patron. I would certainly appreciate your support. Also, we have very active Facebook and Ravelry groups. So if you have any questions, be sure to post down below in the comments or in one of the groups. All right, I'll see you next time for part 3. Thanks for watching.